Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Money Free Economics. In this episode, we'll talk about health. If you want to get in touch, my email is in the top left corner of the screen. So I've broken down the health system into 5 areas, and let's look at those areas individually. As far as the person is concerned, there shouldn't be any fees incurred and no insurance necessary. First thing we want to do with medical governance. So what we want is to enforce treatment. We don't want to force people to take a remedy regime. The patient will have the last say, and if the patient does actually sort of demand a trial treatment, it shouldn't last for too long. The second main thing is we want to go away from invasive procedures to sort of more pharmaceuticals that are really specifically detailed to focus on small parts of remedies. Also, we have to consider that nutrition and herbal remedies are a legitimate way of preventing and treating diseases as well. Um, Finally, we want to end human and animal medical testing. So prototype medicine should have a lot of theory and mathematics behind it. Um, and while it's being developed, it won't rely on human or animal medical testing. So, medical personnel, they're going to attain their license after completing medical school from a state commissioning board. That board will be full of experienced doctors, and they will basically test the candidate before giving them the license. Private doctors may operate, but their treatment regime should be seconded by a state doctor in case they're trying to float foreign medicine. So very sort of small things that are particular to private doctors. Um, we know that medical practitioners in one country might not be able to practice in others. They may be forced to go through another 4 or 5 years of medical school because their original diploma is considered to be of low quality. So we have to bridge that by conforming to international standards. Foreign doctors may also be enlisted. Sometimes foreign doctors are really experienced and they can make a difference in a hospital. Um, yeah, so they can also be enlisted. Standards. So standards are supposed to be like ways and means of treatment. They're basically part of a medical code that has legally binding um, basically definitions of problems and ways to fix those problems. So these standards, they can be imported from outside. They can also be made by the nation itself. To fill these standards, we can obviously have highly experienced doctors to write reports uh, based on their own experience per item, and then that national medical code will obviously will be written and maintained by medical professionals. We want people's hearings regarding medical suggestions. So doctors, patients, family of patients, they can go before a televised board and have their minute or two to present their case. So this is good if the country has serious medical system problems, and really when these people come to give their story. That might actually give initiative to the government to actually fix those problems. So we have different types of ambulances. They should be uh, they're intended to stabilize the patient during and then transfer them to hospitals. The vital signs that are taken, they should be transmitted in real time to the hospital so that the hospital doctors know what equipment to prepare and which specific doctors to put on alert. Helicopter ambulances are really useful for islands and mountains. Ambulance vans are just simply not viable for islands. So if you're transferring from a small health center on an island and you want to go to a bigger hospital, you're gonna need the helicopters are the most efficient way. We also want certain specialized ambulances, and we can consider having hospital ships for humanitarian missions, and also hospital trains. So the amount of hospitals should be determined by reaction time. Sometimes these hospitals are based on an area, and every area has its own sort of specific uh, surface area, which means that they have different roads and stuff like that. So one of the main factors when building hospitals is to is to where to place them, is to calculate the reaction time of the ambulance coming to the patient and bringing the patient to the hospital. So the current record holder for the most expensive hospitals is in Australia. It's at $2.3 billion. It's not a lot of money if you're a big country. If you're a big country, you can definitely easily, even with like today's amounts of money, you can easily go over 2.3 billion. But obviously, this hospital is massive, so it's going to be catering to a large area and a large population. Deployable hospitals are sometimes used by militaries. The health system should have these, and some of them have to be capable to work under hazardous materials conditions. The pharmaceutical industry should be nationalized, in my opinion, and it should produce what the hospitals and pharmacies need, nothing else. No for profit, just pure filling out orders. Um, The computer information network for the medical system should have a logistics sector, so to make sure to control the movement of supplies from factories to establishments, etc. We can have to-your-door delivery of pharmaceutical products. This is maybe a good thing for the elderly who are suffering from issues. So this slide is very has a lot of stuff on it, so I'll just go to the next slide, which is much simpler. So computerization of the medical system. Um, Here's basically a list of things that computers and machines can do. Most important of them is to actually collect data on all the many hundreds of patients, and then to analyze that data for supply chains, for tasks, for automatic task setting for personnel, etc. Medical research. Researchers should be able to get what they want from the government for free, and they can be accredited for making discoveries or making important work, and they can receive income from their patent. Laboratories should be everywhere: hospitals, pharma factories, universities. Some of these will be just for research. Others will be when there is a time constraint, when there's a need to answer a question really fast, and there's patience depending on that decision. Final comments. So the National Medical Internet, it should have all the data on it. This will allow the government to make certain adjustments that will be actually based on data. Medical workers' welfare, they can demand payment, obviously. They can demand better working conditions, etc. We can look at cannabis as a remedy for some diseases. That's very important. I would definitely say yes to that. Sometimes hospitals, they depend on a electricity supply of the local area. So if that electricity supply is cut, the hospital needs to have generators, stuff like that. Future technology is also very important, such as electrostimulation and sound emitting healing. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next episode.